Guys, welcome to another episode of the CGA show. You can probably see on the top episodes 1 and 2, where we talked about the rules of this show. So if you're new here, welcome first of all, and just gonna go over the rules quickly. I swear to you, we will stop telling you the rules within episode maybe 6, 7. But the TLDR of the rules is that we have this fancy non-conventional dice roller free on Google. If you just Google free dice roller, and it's a 20-sided die, 5 dices, and
Very high tech.
very high tech. You know, just came out last year. And in what we do here is that we will all pick a number, and whoever is closest to the number that gets outputted on this little sum part here, for all you viewers, that's the person who's going to be speaking today. Now, the other... Sorry, you say something, Noah?
And I said woot woot.
Oh, woot woot.
He's expressing his excitement.
Yes.
And to add on to that excitement, we also have this fancy looking wheel here, which comes from this fancy free website called oldwheelofnames.com. I'm not even sure if this is like, I'm fairly certain there's probably some sort of malware to this, but it's okay. So far, we've been good. So if you audio listeners wanted to try it for yourselves, just the free dice roller on Google and the Wheel of Names at wheelofnames.com. So why we have 2 subjects here is because what we've decided is just for the first few episodes of this show, we're going to try and get all 3 of those topics talked about. But we do want to hold a little bit of randomosity in here. So that's why our last episode, which should be somewhere up here, is we talked about anime. And the first episode, we talked about gaming. So I highly suggest that you check those out. First episode was done by my co-host here, Noah. Last episode was done by me. And hopefully this time it's done by our esteemed British gentleman, Dom.
We hope.
We hope.
May the odds be ever in your favor. My favor? My favor.
In your favor. In your favor. So we gave Noah a pass last time on the dice roll because he went first. We are giving me a pass this time because I went last time.
And somehow I guessed the number exactly again in number 2, but they were kind.
Let's see what happens this time now.
So yeah, I highly suggest you watch episode 1 and 2 because it was... I don't know how he got it, but he did. All right, boys.
Yep.
I am rolling the dice. The dice has been rolled. What are your numbers?
Noah, pick your number because I don't know. I feel like you pick your number.
13.
You son of a bitch. Do you want me to do this to you?
Price is right, mate.
Do it. Price was right.
Do it.
Wait, I thought we had
a
right? I thought we had a rule about this, didn't we?
We did have a rule about it.
Okay. Hey, it's 5 dice. It's perfectly feasible.
It is perfectly feasible.
It's not 7.
And it's not a single digit, so apparently it's allowed. Okay, fine. I'll choose a number that is not close to yours. I will choose 76.
76. All right, stopping it now. It is 55.
So I'm closest then.
You are closest.
There you go.
Well done, Noah.
What's my... If I pick 12, you're us would have been...
All right, spinning the wheel now. Which one did you want again, Dom?
Either one. I just didn't want anime because you did anime.
Okay, well, great. Because you get conspiracy this time.
Hey,
that's what it landed on.
So we naturally got our CGA.
We did. We did our first 3 episodes without cheating.
Look at that, without cheating, without fixing anything. That's amazing.
We would never. What? No.
Of course not. Of course
we
not.
would never do things in post.
No, of course not. Don't touch post. Of course not.
Dom, what's your conspiracy?
Right.
Hit us.
I'm going to start us off. I'm going to bring us back to the year 1997. And I'm going to bring you France in 1997. Specifically, Paris, 1997. August 30th. 31st. And I'm going to take you into our favorite princess and her last moments on this earth. I think you know who I'm talking about, don't you, Noah? I'm talking about our princess, Diana. And the circumstances of her. Yes. So, as you may know, our Princess Diana, once beloved in my hometown, my homeland, England, if you couldn't tell. Yeah. So Princess Diana.
You're English?
No, I didn't. Do you not know this? No. Yeah. It's I'm actually English. Yeah. So Princess Diana, as you know, passed away on August 31st, 1997. She died in a car accident in France. And of course, she was not the only person that passed that, because she also was accompanied by her then lover, Dodi. I don't know if you're familiar with Dodi, but he was the son. So Dodi, effectively, that's his kind of pet name, actually. So his actual name, I don't have on hand. But Dodi, effectively, was a film producer. So he was an old film producer, like her old fling, I guess. So there's a lot of intricacies in how they met, because they actually met while she was still married to then Prince Charles, now King Charles. And they met in the 80s because, Prince Charles and Diana had a quite tumultuous marriage. It wasn't the greatest marriage. So I'm not going to go into that conspiracy and that, things was happening while they were still married. That's not what we're talking about today. But, come on now. Things happened. But effectively, Princess Diana, and Dodi Al Fayed. So Muhammad Al Fayed obviously is the father. Then you have Dodi Al Fayed. So Muhammad Al Fayed effectively is like this businessman. He's really rich.
Okay.
Worth billions of dollars. He was like a really big investor in a lot of British, like mostly in Britain. He was investing in Britain because he loved Britain. He really was close with like the royal family.
Okay.
And this is where the conspiracy theories are really pouring out. It's mostly from him, in fact, because of course his son also died, right?
Yeah. Super powerful guy,
Super powerful guy, lots of money. He's buying things like Harrods. He's buying things like hotels. Like, he's a pretty big deal, right?
Right.
So Dodi, his son, of course, infatuated with the princess. And they, funny enough, and this is according to Muhammad now, right? Apparently, shortly before the accident, before the infamous car crash, Dodi and Princess Diana were actually engaged to be married. Now, mind you, Dodi was actually engaged to another woman simply months before that, and he just kind of called it off, right? So suspicious, right? But anyway, I mean, if it was me, come on, it's a princess. Like, if you had a choice, like, who are you gonna really,
Right.
Like, if it's between me and you, like, choosing the princess. Now, here's the thing. So when the accident actually occurred, right? It's very strange because you and I both know, like, in Europe, there's cameras everywhere. Like, London especially is very, like, heavily CCTV is every doorstep. And France is not as bad as London, but if you're going from A to B, there's a good chance that you've been caught on at least 10, 15 cameras on the way there, right?
Okay.
So this accident happens, right? So when the car crash happens, it was like the late, like, it was late in the night, like on August 30th, and there was literally no cameras that picked them up. They picked them up like leaving the hotel, which is the Hotel Ritz in Paris. Or sorry, it's Paris, so it's the Hotel Ritz.
Le Hotel.
The Hotel. So they pick them up leaving, and of course, they come out of the backside because they're trying to avoid the paparazzi, right? So the working theory, or this is the story that has kind of been portrayed as the proof of the matter, right?
Yeah.
So this is the official story of how their death goes. It's that the chauffeur, who happened to actually be the head of security for the Ritz, for the hotel, right? So his name, I think, was Henry. Oh, what was his name? Henry
Kissinger.
No, not Henry Kissinger. That would be pretty cool if it was.
I
don't think he was that. I would appreciate it if it was that. That'd be pretty cool. I think it was Henry Paul or something like that. Basically, he was
second guess.
Yeah, very next guess. Basically, he was like their chief security, right? So he was basically assigned to them that day to take them to whatever destination they were supposed to go. And I think they were supposed to go to the Arc de Triomphe to go and have a date or whatever they were doing. They just didn't want the Paps to see them.
Yeah.
So the working theory, the working story, as the official story as to what happened, is that our chief of security was one, completely off his head, drunk, while also taking prescription drugs. So a combination of that, and according to them, there was also a paparazzi that was following. So, he was trying to get away from them, speeding, alcohol, drugs, loses control of the car, hits a white Fiat. They hit like a column in the bridge because they were going under a tunnel. So it was like a little tunnel. They hit like the column. Apparently nobody was wearing seatbelts, but then also somebody was wearing seatbelts. Depends on who you listen to, but according to them, no, nobody was wearing seatbelts. Everybody except one person in the car passes away, and that would be the bodyguard, right? So everybody dies except the bodyguard, and that's the official story, right? That's what everybody says. That's what everybody says is true, right?
Okay.
Now, along comes, of course, Muhammad. Muhammad says, well, I look at facts, right? Look at what I know, right? So he's like, well, I know for a fact that Charles and Diana did not have a good marriage. Everybody knows this for a fact, right?
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Dodi and Diana has spent the last 9 days vacationing all over the place. And I know for a fact that, he says this. He didn't say it at the time. He said it later on. He's like, I know for a fact that Princess Diana was also pregnant at the time in which she died, right? Which, of course, is also a big deal. And like I said before, there was also no engagement that had literally just been kind of like announced for them, right? So as far as Muhammad Al-Fayed is concerned, he's convinced, and I'm going to try and convince you that this is the case too, because I fucking believe it. He's convinced that the royal family orchestrated the death of Diana with the use and assistance of our secret service, which is MI6, to effectively remove any possibility of, say, a royal family member or princess having any sort of relation or being married to, so anybody that's associated with the royal family being married to someone who is, say, Muslim, as well as having a child or said person that would obviously, share a bloodline with royalty. So that's his working theory,
right?
That their deaths were orchestrated and carried out on the command of Prince Philip at the time, obviously, before he died. His working theory is that Prince Philip orchestrated all of this and killed Diana, Dodi, and the driver. So, to be fair, I mean, if you're giving those kind of points, if you pull all of those things together, I kind of see what he's saying. Because, I mean, it is the royal family.
Right.
If there was...
strongest family in the world.
Right. Right. I mean, we've seen recent history with, Harry and Meghan, how they can act when there are, less favorable depictions of them. And we all know that Diana was not one to hold her tongue. She was one to always be out there, and she would always say what she thinks.
Right.
Her and Charles was not really the best of, it wasn't the best thing that they had going on. So if we were to pick a family that could probably make you disappear,
I'll be one of the oldest bloodlines in the world. Yeah.
Whole family could probably do it, right? Like I would say so.
Right.
And as powerful as, a billionaire like Muhammad Al-Fayed was, he's still not royalty, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of like the class that they look at, having a lot of money doesn't really mean much to them. It's also prestige and history, and it's like
pedigree,
pedigree, right? So like, as far as they're concerned, I mean, if you look at the history of all the monarchs in the UK,
they generally don't like it when they marry commoners.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly. Even Diana was kind of a problem. I mean, she was Lady Diana Spencer for a long time before she married, Charles. But even Diana was a problem for them, let alone someone who's completely one foreign and then two Muslim. I just add Muslim to the name on anything, and
I was gonna bring that up to you.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, he had some points, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of agree with him. I mean, the problem I also have is the fact that there's no cameras that show the actual accident, leading up into the tunnel, and then you had paparazzi that, of course, were at the scene taking pictures, and their film was confiscated. So everything that they had evidence would have been taken, right? And
to just interrupt you there.
Yeah.
Why? Did they say why the paparazzi stuff was confiscated? What was the official reason?
Well, they would of course take it in as evidence, right? Because if it's an accident and they're taking the pictures, and obviously it's a high profile public figure, and of course they would have that kind of image as part of the crime or part of the scene. Sorry. So they would take it into evidence, and I would imagine that they would release it, as more of the investigation is done. But I don't recall if they did. I would imagine that they did. I should hope that they did.
Okay.
But it's still fishy, right? As soon as they it's paparazzi, that's their job. They just take pictures of everything.
Right.
And I could imagine if I'm paparazzi, I'll give them the B reel. This is what I got. I've got my actual reel.
Right.
There you go. Right. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of evidence, and there was a lot of conflicting evidence. So for instance, the working theory that the driver was the problem, he was drunk and he was, on prescriptions. They were like, well, the family couldn't accept that. They were like, well, we interacted with him that same day, and he was completely sober. They were saying there was no evidence of him being inebriated in any way. And then the tox report would come back, and they were doing I think it was a carbon monoxide test, for instance, on his blood, and it was 3 times the amount that you would expect to see in a sober, a person that was sober, right? And they were like, if he was that, if that with the amount that they're claiming he had in him, he would be literally vomiting, that kind of stuff. He wouldn't even be functioning well enough to be driving a car. Well enough that a princess and the film producer would want to get in a car with him if he was in that state, Then there's also the fact that you had the 4th person that was in the car. There's speculation to say he was wearing a seatbelt, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I don't understand why there's confusion between that. Either you were or you weren't. Given that he was in an accident and you would have had to have moved him out of the car. I feel that should be something that's known.
Right.
And also the fact that this person, who was the kind of bodyguard, so when he got into the accident, his face was caved in, his face was smashed in. So that tells me they said he was wearing a seatbelt and the airbag went off. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, he's the only survivor. And you want to know something?
What?
He has a head injury, so he doesn't remember what happened. It's convenient.
Very convenient.
Very.
Right. Very convenient. He doesn't remember what happens. And I'm like, hey, you know what? If this was something that was orchestrated and you survived it, I could imagine that, you might be approached by certain people.
But there might be a certain amount of hush money involved.
There might be, right? I could
How much
imagine
does it usually cost to buy convenient amnesia?
It's, I don't know.
Quite a bit.
I feel
really,
like a couple
really
million
don't
thrown
know.
around would really convince you.
Yeah,
Maybe.
And this was pre-inflation, so it might have even just been $100K.
Right. This is 97.
Paltry.
This is
Money,
1997 money, right?
And I just like to point this out to everybody out there. We on the CGA show will take nothing less than 5 million to forget things.
That's a decent amount of hush money for me. Yeah,
each, 5 million each.
Each. Of course, yes.
Yes. Continue.
Yeah.
Your
yes.
story.
So of course, he's in this accident, and and he doesn't remember anything. Now, here's the part why it's difficult for me to say that I believe him on that, because guess what? There were 2 people that were conscious in this accident. Him, who survived, and Princess Diana. She did not die instantly at scene, right? So they actually said that the injuries that she sustained were predominantly on her right side, which was indicative of someone sitting sideways in the car, right? So they're saying she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, which to everybody who knows Princess Diana says that she's an avid, like she's a stickler when it comes to seatbelts. She's like, as soon as she gets in the car, seatbelt's on, she's like, everybody's putting on a seatbelt. That's everybody who knows her says that. She's like, she wouldn't get in the car and not put her seatbelt on, right? And mind you, there was also a report that there was one seatbelt in the car that was defective, and could you guess who was sitting in the seat that had a defective seatbelt?
I don't know.
Could you
tell me? Little old Di.
Little old Di.
How'd you know?
How'd you know?
How'd you know?
But of course,
of
course, they're gonna come out and say, no, you know what? It was actually damaged after the accident. It wasn't before the accident. It was after that. This particular seatbelt was damaged, right? So
it malfunctioned after the crash. Right.
Yes. That's when it malfunctioned.
That's how that works. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Our Lady Diana, she doesn't die on the scene, and here's where people also say it's a little bit iffy. Okay. So how in North America and also in UK too, if you get into an accident, generally speaking, when the ambulance arrives, they are going to treat you. You can give you first aid there and then, but their top priority is to get you to the hospital.
Yes.
Right. So apparently in France, it's different. They actually work off of a strategy in which they first have to stabilize you at the scene. So their ambulances are pretty much, equipped to stabilize. They have everything they need to stabilize a person. And then they will bring you to a hospital that is specialized in the type of injury that you're dealing with. Right. So they could effectively be, you could be on the scene for, maybe an hour and a half until you're stable before you're even, sent off to a hospital. Versus, over here where, as soon as they get there, they're pretty much getting you prepared to get in the ambulance.
Like in the gurney off to the
like you're off.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, for us that are used to that, we would look at that with a little bit of scrutiny to say, hey, why would you take so long to get her to the hospital? Because this accident happened about, 20 minutes after midnight. Yeah. And she didn't make it to the hospital till about 2 a.m. Right. So, the journey from where she was to the hospital that she ended up in was like 26 minutes, meaning that they spent a good hour and a bit, right? Like at the scene with Princess Diana, who was conscious, but obviously severely injured, right? So there's a little bit of, theories that maybe they didn't do all that they could to save her, right?
Okay.
So apparently she did go into cardiac arrest, and they tried to restart her heart.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. She passed away, I think, at like 3 a.m. in the morning on August 31st. She died officially, and of course they announced it later on in the day to everybody that she passed. I genuinely believe Muhammad when he says that this was orchestrated by the royal family.
Right.
I feel like they are in a position that they could, in actuality, sweep a lot of things under the rug and make things happen in a way that it looks accidental. I mean, this is your Secret Service we're talking about. I mean, if you want someone to disappear, they're the ones to do it.
Secretly.
I genuinely believe that this particular conspiracy has truth to it.
Right.
I think so. I think the going theory that the chauffeur was drunk and he lost control because he was being chased by the paps. I feel like that's too much of a cop out. It's too easy, especially given like the profile of the people he was carrying. Like you would not. I wouldn't even touch a drink if I have a princess in my car.
Right.
And I'm
let alone in your car, in your hotel, with the chance of even having to drive.
Right.
So then it makes me wonder. I'm like, if he was intoxicated, he might not have known it. He might not have known it until he got to the car. And I mean, Secret Service. I'm pretty sure they could find a way to intoxicate a person without them intending to. And they can make things happen, right?
So, seen enough storylines where you drug the guard.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that there is truth to this conspiracy theory. Muhammad al-Fayed, he stuck with what he believed right up until his dying day. And I believe him too. What do you guys think?
Do I go first or should I?
I'll go first. So I'm going to say that there's a lot of circumstantial things that could say that'd be like true, but also there's like the chaos factor into it. There's unpredictability in everything. I also agree that the being drunk and on pills is kind of like an excuse. I feel it might have even just been stress from going fast to escape these paparazzi, but is that like that might have been his first time exposed to that type of thing where he has to evade someone and try and lose like a tail. And maybe he thought, oh, I'm going to outshine everyone and I'm going to do such a good job, and then just fumbles the turn into the tunnel, It's very possible that it is at face value, car crash, dies from there. But because of all the circumstances around it, I'm led to believe that it could be true. Also, one thing to note is that the Queen didn't like Diana.
She did not like her at all.
Yeah. So that's another thing to take it into consideration here. Like, the royal family didn't like her. The people loved her. Like, she was the people's princess.
Yes.
Yep.
So maybe they felt like they were losing their pull of power because someone who wasn't even on the throne was having more influence on their subjects. So maybe also because 1997, Britain wasn't a progressive country. They were still very conservative. So we have this princess coming in with a lot of progressive values and trying to say equality, everything like that. It's like, for the times, it feels like they were trying to stop that.
Yeah.
So I'm led to believe that it is something true to it. Maybe not in all of the like leading theories and everything, but it's very like, I obviously don't have training as a secret agent, but I've seen enough
you've seen enough ones to know
how it's possible. Also, just fun little tidbit, all of the Ian Fleming James Bond, Ian Fleming was a spy.
He was.
So all the things that you see in that are things that could very well have happened.
Right.
So if you look at anything like that, it's like, okay, it's very possible. I'm also led to believe, because all of her injuries were on the right side, they could have been pushed into that column.
Correct.
Right.
So it's not just, oh, it was this. If they could have had a paparazzi that was on the bill, or an agent, and just push them into the pole.
Yeah.
Because also, who runs the CCTV?
Exactly.
Right.
That's my big thing. What makes me believe why this one could be true is because high profile. They don't like her. The Secret Service, well, it's all run by the Glass House in UK, in England. So they run everything. So I'm led to believe, because the CCTV, it's not run by the police. It's run by the Secret Service.
Right.
So, yeah, it leads me to think that it is true. Just on what you've given me now, that's my initial thought. Also, it's just way too convenient that she's going on a date with her lover and is possibly pregnant with this man's baby. It's just way too convenient to say that they got in a car crash and she died.
And mind you, timing of it too. They've literally been engaged, like, we're talking like a month. Like, it's a month, right? Like, that's so suspicious.
Yeah. So that's my take. I am inclined to believe it.
Okay. Well, you took a lot of the good points there, because I don't know much about the details of everything that's gone on it, but Dom, you pretty good story here, pretty good compelling story, and I'm also leaning a lot more towards that this is true and not a conspiracy. Everything Noah said, I also feel the same as well, but there's a couple of things. Is that the location of where this incident happened, right? We can say a lot of chaotic situations occur, sure, fine, right? But the location of where this occurred in an underground pass and out of sight, out of line, even if there is a CCTV, once again we've established that that's controlled by the same agency that is really a direct line to the royal family themselves. I think it's very simple to eliminate someone in the shadows when when there's nobody else around to see them, or where it'd be very convenient. It's the old adage of, if you want to rob somebody, rob them in the darkest of night, where there are no lights.
Well,
right?
because this would have been French Secret Service working with British Secret Service,
right?
So that's Legally working with them. There's a lot of lineage that goes with the British
with the
royalty.
two royal royal families there. Yeah, that's 100% true. I think the icing on the cake for me here is something that you hinted on, Noah, which is the fact that the Queen didn't like her. And I think what
she says goes.
Well,
exactly.
What she says goes, but also we know that far less powerful institutes do far greater evil deeds for much less, right? And the fact that a very powerful royal family is being ousted by this commoner who's so progressive that she's the people's champion, when it really should be the monarchy, right? That should be the people's champion. On top of which, she's now going to be having a baby with a foreigner. Was that actually true, or was that alleged?
It's alleged. So of course, when they did the autopsy, they say she wasn't confirmed to be pregnant. But of course, Mohammed has his doubts. He says they did some kind of funny thing with the embalming to kind of make sure it didn't show up that way. But he believes that she was pregnant because she had told. Apparently, she had told the family.
It's like, I'm expecting.
But then,
and
of
also,
course, the report
women usually don't say that until they know they're about 3 months pregnant.
No, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, even if it's an allegation and it's not true, I think during the time frame that this all occurred, rumors held a lot of weight, as opposed to today, where rumors can be played off as more of a joke or a hoax, right? Yeah. You saw a flying saucer. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Right?
Internet wasn't very present in 1997.
No.
We were all on dial-up.
Right. It was pretty much non-existent. So any sort of gossip or story that's out there. So even if somebody gossiped and the Queen heard, this the lady in my household that I don't like is pregnant. With who? With that? That's not happening, right?
Yep.
And I think a commoner who has the people's hearts marrying a foreigner of a particular religion that's a little bit looked down upon or has like negative connotations, especially during that time frame as well. I think that combination would be pretty powerful to oust the queen, right? And I know all the UK people love the queen, or at least most of them did, but she held on to power as long as she could.
Yeah.
So losing power to her, I think, is the tipping point for me.
Yeah.
Kind of pushes this into the realm of true.
Yeah. And I mean, you can even look at recent history. I mean, look at Meghan and Harry. If you really consider the fact that Harry was willing to give up his status as royalty, and in his words, to protect his family, which is now Meghan and his children, protect them from his old family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
which
like
were the royalty.
Like protect from what exactly?
So, and I mean, again, his mother was Diana, and I'm sure, you know, as kids, you and I, like you guys know, we sneak around the house sometimes. We listen in on adult conversations. We hear things, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's probably heard something,
Yeah.
right? Some rumors about what happened to his mother that he just knew, like, this family is dangerous.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm looking at somebody who is fitting the bill as somebody that they would normally, you know, eliminate, just like they tried to eliminate same obstacle they did with my mother. I don't want that to happen to my new family.
Yeah.
So if I'm Harry, if they could do that to my mom, am I gonna let them do that to my wife? You know? So like for me, it's like all roads kind of point to this same place to say that they would do this. They have the capacity.
The compass is always going north.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like, they literally have motive. They have the ability to do it. And like they have the power to make it disappear.
The capability and motivation are there.
Yeah.
Like, come on, where do we get the best inspiration from? Like, for stories of betrayal, it's always historically royal families.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can go back in their own history. I'm like, look, we live in a modern day where you can't just walk out and kill someone and it will be okay. Yeah. But they come from a family where you could literally go out and kill someone and it was okay. Right? Like for most of the history, I have a disagreement with you. All right, I'm just gonna behead you.
Yeah.
Done. Or I'm gonna lock you in a dungeon for the rest of your life. Like that's the family legacy they have. Yeah. So all they've done really is just modernize that.
Yeah.
I mean, with the advent of technology, everyone's got a CCTV in their hands. So
right. So now you have to be a bit smart about it.
Yeah.
Accidents happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you prove an accident?
So you've convinced both of us pretty much that this is true. So well done. Well done.
Yes. Very
Congrats
good.
to you. Yeah, that's a good, compelling story. Now, I know we do this rating for the other two subjects that we have, but I want you to rate this conspiracy from all the other conspiracies you've ever heard using the same algorithmic scale that Noah has put in place.
See, while I would like to rate it highly, the issue I take with this conspiracy is that it is still, by and large, biased in that it is largely by you know the accounts of Mohammed al-Fayed and the fact that you know he has his son, of course, who's involved in it and passed away from it, and he has a large bias in him, right? Okay. And of course, you do have the part of the court of public opinion who would side with certain things that he says, because again, she was a public figure that was quite favorable. So given those factors, I can't rate it as high as I would like to, because there is quite a lot of elements that can be disputed and can't be proven.
Okay.
So given that, I would probably give it maybe, I wouldn't say maybe I'd say like maybe a 6.2.
Okay.
To say it's still quite tangible in like a lot of the the theories that they've got, but it's not strong enough without just those accounts to say, yeah, 100% that's what happened. It's not a conspiracy, it's fact, right? Like, I think it's still difficult to do that given the fact that it's still, like Noah said earlier, a lot of it is circumstantial.
Right.
And not a lot of it can be proven outside of what's been given as the kind of official account of what's happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So 6.2 is what I would say.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it here. So tell us what you think about this conspiracy, or whether you think it's an actual true story. Let us know in the comments, or if you're listening to this on the audio version, let us know on whatever platform you're listening to.
Have you ever had a dream that you
Wow, I can't speak. Listening to this. Yeah, turn the Mike Tyson down.
I can speak clearly.
We're all on the spectrum. Me most. All right, cue the ending music. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.